Frank, please come on up. We appreciate it.
What a great day in America. Only 812 more days of Barack the First in the White House. If you remember, during the 2012 election, if you were watching Fox News or the other news stations, I think there are other news stations other than Fox, you notice that Dick Morris, Karl Rove, and the whole bunch were really solid that Romney was going to win, Republicans were going to pick up all these U.S. Senate seats, and everyone was so positive, day after day after day, night after night, that they knew the Republicans were going to win the November 2012 election. They were absolutely positive the Republicans lost. This time, if you watch Fox News, and it's the only one left, if you watch Fox News, no one is willing to say on the air, yes, guaranteed the Republicans are going to win the U.S. Senate. Now, we're going to pick up a lot of congressional seats. As I was sitting here listening to your meeting, I was reading the Rothenberg report. Stu Rothenberg is an old Washington hand who's been around since the early 1970s in Washington, writing on politics. I know him personally. He's a conservative, but you wouldn't know that from his writing. And he just put out a column at 4:30 tonight stating that the Republicans are going to win an overwhelming victory. The first person willing to say that. And he's also talking about Republicans picking up not 6 congressional seats, not 9 congressional seats, but over 12 congressional seats. You wouldn't be surprised if the Republicans picked up 15 Republican seats. And then in conjunction with some other polling that's been done in the last 48 hours, the Republicans are going to win Alaska. They are going to win Montana. They are going to win South Dakota. They are going to win Louisiana in a runoff. They're going to win Georgia in a runoff. They will win North Carolina. They will win New Hampshire. We are going to win the governorship of Massachusetts. As of tonight, the Republican Charlie Baker is 12 points up on the Democrat. And the Democrat is somebody you should remember. Martha Copeland. Remember her? She's the Democrat candidate for the U.S. Senate that Scott Brown beat 4 years ago. So now she's going to lose for governor as well. Throughout the country, there are congressional. How bad is it for the Democrats? My favorite one is a New York district with a Republican congressman by the name of Michael Grimm. Michael Grimm has been indicted. Indicted. And the newspapers in this district are still endorsing him. That's how bad the Democrats are in that district. That they'd rather have an indicted Republican win that congressional seat. We are going to pick up 3 congressional seats in New York. 3. We will pick up 2 to 3 in Illinois.
Oh, yeah, good.
We're going to win. We're going to defeat Scott Peters down in San Diego with Colorado. We're going to defeat Amir Vera up in Sacramento area with Doug Ossie. Those who we know we're going to win. Those who take backs. We still have a hard time in the Valadeo campaign in the Central Valley, but we should be able to win them. Legislatively, let me move to California. This is going to be the most unusual election ever for statewide 21-point deficit, whereas Ron Leary, literally nobody except for his family, his girlfriends, and those of us who had a beer with him, nobody knows Ron Leary in this state, and he's only down by 10 points. And he spent under $50,000. Oh, by the way, when I mentioned Neil Kashkari, as sure as I'm here, I will tell you, by the time we hit Easter, Neil Kashkari is going to announce for the U.S. Senate. Just a little heads up there. I will also tell you that there's a congressman from the Central Valley, Devin Nunes, that will probably run for the U.S. Senate as well. I'm just giving you facts. I'm not making a value judgment. I'm on the executive committee of the Tea Party California Caucus. And we received an email the other day from our chair, and I'm just giving you a fact. I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just giving you a fact. In the state of California, the number of signatures needed to put a measure on the ballot equals 5% of those who voted in the previous governor's race. So the fewer people that vote in this governor's race, the easier it will be to put measures on the ballot over the next 4 years. I'm just giving you a fact. I'm not making a value judgment. Just political science class. Now we're talking about all these great victories. We're talking about being able to win some assembly seats, maybe a couple of state senate seats. We're winning U.S. Senate seats, gubernatorial seats. We're going to win Connecticut as for the governorship. We know that. We may even, and watch on election night, of course we're going to win Colorado, but on election night, the sweeper race is Tom Udall, the Democratic senator in New Mexico, who, as of yesterday, is only 4 points up on the Republican. Imagine 2 Some areas did add, some lost. In total, we lost 70,000. The Democrats did the same. People are no longer caring about the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. What they're interested in is solid, honest, constitutional government. One of the most interesting, the Tea Party California caucus at the last CRP convention sponsored, and I wrote it, a resolution putting the Republican Party on record against Prop 14. That's the proposition that makes the top two vote getters in the primary, Republican or Democrat, and the vote Democrats, they will go on to November, they vote Republicans, they go on to November. In effect, destroying the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. In 2012, there were 28 legislative districts, Assembly, State, Senate, Congress, that had only one party on the ballot. And what's interesting about that is when you look at the vote totals, on average, in those districts, when there was one party on the ballot, there were 11% fewer voters. Prop 14 suppresses the vote. First of all, there are no third parties allowed on the ballot in November. Because the way it's set up. So why would a third party person come out to vote? This year, there are 25 legislative districts. My favorite one is in Northern California. Tom McClintock is running against another Republican, a guy by the name of Art Moore. Last week, Art Moore decided to smear Tom McClintock. He called Tom McClintock a Republican. I'm serious. That was his smear of Tom McClintock. That McClintock was a Republican. And this guy is a registered Republican. Because he doesn't vote very much. Hasn't voted for years. But that's okay. But politics in the state of California have changed dramatically. And Prop 14 is going to be the vehicle to change politics for a generation. About a month ago, I was on a panel discussion of a business group, and one of the other panelists was Dan Walters of the Sacramento Bee. And I brought up Proposition 14. And I described why it's wrong. He then responded by saying, Steve, you don't know the half of it. The progressive Democrats hate it as well. It's dividing the Democrat Party. What's occurred in both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party is the grassroots mean nothing in the primary. That unless you're very, very rich, a special interest, or a union able to put in hundreds of millions of dollars, you can't go anywhere. And so the Democrats are just as upset, and we've begun discussions with progressive Democrats on how to repeal it. And you know what? They don't trust government either. They don't trust the NSA. They don't trust the IRS. They could be sitting in this room and have almost the same views as we do. They too want to return to constitutional government. And it's a shocker listening to them. The left and the right does come together. And it could be that Proposition 14 is the vehicle, the repeal of that, becomes the vehicle to overturn the establishment. I'm not talking about the Republican establishment. I'm not talking about the Democrat establishment. There's a great company called Chevron. Chevron has donated to several great conservative And these folks want to have constitutional government. And there are other things that we can work with them about. Between November 5th and June of 2016, we have a lot of work to do. A great deal. I was listening to John give his report on the precinct operation, and the great work he's doing, and Sam's doing, and the others have done. Paul explained what's going on precinct-wise in his campaign. And there are other Tea Parties statewide that are doing the same thing as you are. That report that was made in the Central Valley by Steve Brandow of the Central Valley Tea Party, Central Party Patriots, which is a Tea Party, by Ginny Rapini of the Northern California, by Willie Worcester of the Contis down in San Diego. These type of grassroots politics is going on all over the state, not by the Republicans, but by the Tea Party. If it weren't for the Tea Party, the Republican Party would not have the volunteers. We are the backbone of the Republican Party. Now that's good, but every once in a while you need to show your strength. Every once in a while you need to be able to make a statement to the party that we want to see at the table. Don't take us for granted that we're going to be there to help your candidates. We're going to only help those candidates we believe in. We're not going to work for those who vote for Obama. And so now that all these different groups are working, now's the time for all of these precinct operations to become coordinated. You guys determine who you want to support here, and walk for here, and Steve and his people in Fresno and the Central Valley will decide for themselves who they want to work with. But to coordinate these efforts takes away the power of the Republican Party to dictate to us who we work for. And that is extremely important. We are going from a campaign about nothing into a campaign literally about everything. Before you kiss your favorite person at midnight on New Year's Eve, this country will have amnesty for a minimum of 5 million people. This country is going to have the EPA kill about 3 million jobs and close off not only the coal industry, but the set motion of regulations to close off the oil industry as well, all before New Year's Eve. And there are numerous other executive orders that are going to be going through, signed by the President, that will transform this nation into a mini version of Moscow. You may have heard today that John Kerry complaining, we don't have a 5-year plan for national security and national defense. Remember the last country that had 5-year plans and 10-year plans? Russia, the old Soviet Union. That's what happens when you have central organization, central focus, central direction, with the government telling you what you can grow so bikes can go there. And if you visit San Francisco in 10 years, if some of the boards of supervisors have their way, you'll be able to bike on a pathway bridge over the Golden Gate Bridge. They want to build a bridge for bikes over the Golden Gate Bridge. That's not funny. That's not funny. The amount of money that they're spending on bikes, walking, and horsecraft for the next 2 years, plus or minus $1 billion throughout the state of California. And they wonder where your gas tax was. The other one is water. I've been writing in the California Political News and Views that Prop 1 is a fraud.
Yes.
That there are no dams in that bill. None. The way it's worded is $2.7 billion for groundwater cleanup and dams. That's what it says in the bottom. I published a story this morning from some of the supporters. They consider groundwater cleanup to be equal to a dam, and therefore they don't have to spend a dime on dams. But that's not the worst part. Remember a few months ago, the state Supreme Court ruled that the high-speed rail, even though it violated all the terms of the bond, could still continue building? That means that the state Supreme Court ruled that the wording of a bond is not sacrosanct. That once they have the money, they can spend it for anything they want. And that's what's going to happen with Proposition 1. The conservation groups, the wetland groups, the environmentalist groups, they are going to get money. So 216 on a local level are going to be, on a state level, is going to be more of a local issue. The state of California is only one of 50 states, and we are going to have 15 candidates if we have a single one running for president. And just to answer the question, I haven't decided who I'm supporting yet, and it's really late for me to do that. There's so many good candidates president, and I've met several of them already. I appreciate some of them, some of them I don't appreciate at all, but they don't even run anyway. The fact is, all politics are local. If we can build our city council races, if we can elect the 2 women that were up here before, if we can elect Paul to Congress, if we can get Bill Derry elected, Kirk Hagen elected, if we elect the local people, the rest will take care of themselves. You know what? Because every vote for Neil, every vote for Kurt is a vote for a conservative who's on the ballot above that. So if we can get out the votes for Derry, we can get out the votes for our candidates for Congress like Paul. That's why the local precincts are so important. Now, I know that John and his group are looking forward to Thanksgiving, you're looking forward to Christmas, you're looking forward to Easter, and maybe sometime in the middle of next summer, you're going to come back and start rebuilding the operation. Wrong. On the 5th of November, you start rebuilding. On the 5th of November, you find out who are the good people who did what they were going to do, and you figure out who the flakes were, and you replace them. And you begin the training in mid-November of the new people. And in early January, you walk the precincts again, not for a candidate, but with a survey. What are the key issues in this precinct? And if you do that survey, this Tea Party will be the most important factor for candidates, because they're going to have to come to you for those results, door by door by door. They're going to have to come to you for support, because you're the ones with the trained, experienced veteran walkers. Walking counts. I have a series of candidates for city council around the state this year. On my way here, I was on the phone to them, interested enough to tell the chair of the Republican Party, the leader of the Assembly, the leader in the Senate, and the top Republicans in Congress in this state, this is what we want, and how are you going to help us get it? We have to take the lead, not wait for them to tell us where to follow. There's so much going